Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the DFS Army Killshot podcast. I'm Kyle Marley. With me is Dan Levy, host of Half the Battle. We're here to break down this UFC Vegas 48 card from a DraftKings angle. we got some bangers this week, and I think we're going to see a lot of fights and inside the distance, so it could be a high-scoring week. But we got Johnny Walker versus Jamal Hill for the main event. I'm excited for it. 100K up top on DraftKings. How you feeling about this card, Dan?
I'm feeling good, man. I mean, just as someone who, has been on the Jamal Hill train since day one, to see him, to see it all come to fruition. Last fight was a co-main event against Jimmy Crute. Tomorrow's going to be a main event against Johnny Walker. I said he's going to end this year in the top 5. So I think this is a big step in the right direction.
Yeah, I feel that. I think it's a good matchup for Hill. But we'll get into it. Let's start with the first fight on the card. We got Mario Bautista. He is the second biggest favorite on the card at minus 365 against Jay Perrin at plus 280. Perrin's taking this fight on short notice. He did have a fight on the Contender Series, but I believe he lost that fight, if I'm not mistaken. And then I think he had a fight or two after that. But how do you see this fight going down, Dan?
Yeah, look, the thing with Jay Perrin is he's not going to blow you away, man. I mean, like, this guy is not anything special, but he also doesn't suck either. It's kind of like you watch the tape and you're like, just he's whatever. So I'm curious to see if he can make Bautista fight boring, because Bautista is known for going out there and having those wars. Also coming off a knockout loss, so got to question where the confidence is at. But yeah, I mean, listen, I got Martinez to win this fight. I'm just not interested in laying a price like that on him.
Yeah, I mean, I see Bautista being better everywhere this fight goes. I think he's higher paced on the feet, more technical of a striker. Perrin's got some power, but he's more of a just throwing one punch at a time, maybe one or two, where Bautista's throwing in combos when he's throwing punches, and he puts up a nice pace. I think really the best thing about Perrin is just his maybe wrestling ability. I don't see him doing much with it other than being able to hold top control, maybe get a decision win that way. But I think his ceiling would just be get a takedown, lock up a rear naked choke along the way. I'm just not too interested in it. And then on the other end, Bautista, I don't see too much of a high ceiling from him, because I don't think he'll go for many takedowns in this fight. And if he doesn't get a knockout, then I don't know if he's going to 10x that 9.2K salary, when the 9K range is pretty strong this week. So I probably won't get a whole lot of Bautista either. I think he makes sense in cash games, though, because I feel good about him getting the win. We don't need 100+ points from him in cash games. And I think he's got a higher floor than some of the like Jamal Hill. Like Jamal Hill could get knocked out early in round one, where I'd be surprised if that happened to Bautista. But yeah, overall, it's going to be Bautista or pass for me. Probably more so of a pass, though. Next one on the card, we got... Which one are we up to here? Jonathan Pierce next? Okay, all right. This is one of my favorite fights on the card. Jonathan Pierce, minus 380, biggest favorite on the card, against Christian Rodriguez, another late notice replacement, plus 290. Talk to me about this fight, Dan.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, I actually think Rodriguez is probably one of the best newcomers on this entire card. He's very talented. The only issue is that he's a bantamweight, not a featherweight, and size is going to be a big factor here. JSP is one of the biggest featherweights, and if you compare these guys like David Onama, JSP to Rodriguez, just in terms of just size and physicality, I mean, it's just night and day, and it's just so evident where Christian Rodriguez belongs. So we commend him for taking this fight. JSP probably comes out here with the dub, and then after that we can match up Christian Rodriguez with like Jesse Strader and get him his first win. But look, the thing with these guys like JSP, you got to take note when guys like this fight, because he's got that style I was talking about, man. You know how the calf kicks were a big trend in MMA, and rightfully so. Well, now the big trend that I think is going to be very successful is these guys that can just attempt takedown after takedown after takedown and don't get tired, man. I'm talking about the Jacob Malkoons. I'm talking about the Ronnie Lawrences. I'm talking about the Nick Maximovs. As far as bigger names go, I'm talking about the Bilal Muhammads, the Merab Dawalish-Wheelies, the Islam Makachevs. If you got that style, man, long term, you're going to win some fights. So I think JSP, it might actually get lit up standing, but as soon as he gets on top of this guy, the size is really going to play a factor here. So yeah, give me JSP to come out here and do his thing.
Yeah, JSP is probably one of my favorite plays on the entire card just because the pace he puts up, averaging over 7 takedowns per 15 minutes. That's crazy. He has scored 134 and 123 DraftKings points in his most recent 2 wins. And I mean, that's what we like to call DraftKings gold right there. And that's his path to victory in this fight, too. He's a much bigger guy. He should have a big edge with wrestling and grappling as well. So I would expect him to take it there. And I think he's going to score over 100 points if he's able to get this win. So I want a bunch of Pierce if I can afford him. He is only 9,300 as the most expensive guy, so we're not having to pay like 9,600 or anything this week. So I think I will be able to afford a lot of them. He'll probably be in more than half my total lineups, I would guess. But I also want some Christian Rodriguez lineups. I think this kid's got some pretty good hands, and I just can't get that visual of Pierce getting finished by Lozon out of my head. I mean, Rodriguez, I think, is a lot more dangerous than Lozon, so it would not shock me to see him piece him up, maybe get a knockout early in the fight. So I want some Rodriguez, and I think he will go overlooked where Pierce will be chalky, but Rodriguez should be sub 10% owned. And if he can go out there and get a knockout, then not only are you competing with less than 10% of the field, but you're also killing off 50% of the field who had Pierce in their lineup. So this is, I think, my second favorite DraftKings fight, GPP-wise, to target on the entire card. But I'm going to take Pierce to get a submission, second or third round, just tire this guy out and do your thing on the ground. But yeah, I think Pierce is going to be a guy like on a lot of cards on DraftKings. So this is no different. Next one on the card, we got Chad Anheliger minus 250 against Jesse Strader plus 200. I'm not sure how I feel about this one on DraftKings. I feel like it's a fight that we don't want to just look over, but it's kind of hard to get up to Chad in the 9K range when there's Jamal Hill up there, there's Pierce up there. I'd much rather have those guys, but Chad will be lower owned than them, so I think that's one reason to do it. But do you think Jesse Strader has a shot in this one?
You know, it's so unfortunate how mismanaged this kid's career has been because, like, I actually think that he could be good one day. Like, I actually think that if you gave this kid, 3 more years on the regional scene, then sign him to the UFC, I think he could stay. But instead, he's gonna, lose this fight. They're probably gonna cut him, or he's gonna lose one more fight after this, and they're gonna cut him. I mean, the hell is a 3-0 guy doing out there fighting 14-5 Marcelo Rojo? Like, you understand what I'm saying? When he was 3-0, they put him in there with Rojo. Like, I get Rojo's 0-2 in the UFC, but you got to understand, Air Jordan and Kyler Phillips, like, this is a completely different level, and it's just a level that Jesse Strader ain't quite ready for yet. He needs to go back to the regional scene, get some more seasoning, get some more experience, and then come back. Because I mean, with this kid, Anheliger, man, look, he might be small. He actually has like the shortest reach on the entire card. I'm talking about all the chicks included and everything. But look, he might be small, but dude can fight, and he is gritty. I mean, he starts off his career 2-5. I know dudes that started their careers off 0-2 and called it quits. This guy starts his career off 2-5 and then ends up making it all the way to 11-5. So, I mean, that's what we call a fighter right there. So I respect this guy a lot. And actually, I'm not going to be surprised if he comes out here and gets a knockout, man. I think the Strader's not ready for this level yet, simply put. And the kind of style Strader has, he likes to go right into the fire. So he's going to leave more openings to get finished. So, yeah, give me Anheliger. I was thinking decision throughout the week, but the more time passes, now I'm starting to think and then Anheliger finish.
Yeah, I picked him by knockout. He is minus 105 inside the distance. And I think he makes a lot of sense for ownership reasons in deep GPPs if you're going for that 100K. So he's definitely someone that you want to sprinkle in. But for my lineups, man, if I'm trying to get in, Pierce and Jamal Hill into my lineups, I think I'm going to end up with more Strader and just kind of hope that he can land a big shot. But I don't feel good about that either because Chad does look like he's just the better fighter everywhere, more powerful, more durable, probably has a wrestling edge in this matchup too. So it's really just the price that's taking me off Chad and putting me on to Strader. But I don't know what I'm going to do with this one. If I'm making 150 lineups, I'll probably just let the domination station control it, let it do its thing. If you haven't tried out the domination station yet, now's the time. Sign up at dfsarmy.com. Use promo code sleeveless. That'll save you 10% every month. We have tools, coaches, projections for all sports. I think you guys will like it. There's an awesome community on Discord as well. So give it a shot. But that's one where for MME, I'm going to let it take over. And then for my hand builds, I feel like I'd get to more Strader just for a Stars Scrubs approach type of reason. But minus 250 fight doesn't go to a decision. I don't think these guys will be too owned on the card because they are, non-known names. So this could be a sneaky fight to target here in GPPs. Next one on the card, we got Diana Balbita minus 125 against Gloria De Paula plus 105. Talk to me about this fight.
Tough one to call, man, because it's like I think De Paula is a lot better than what she's shown in the UFC. I was very impressed with the Contender Series fight. She just hasn't put it together in the UFC yet. So you have to question where her confidence is at. Is it a thing where now after those 2 losses that she's going to come out here even more gunshot, or is it a thing where her back's up against the wall and she's going to come out here desperate? Like if you give me the De Paula from Contender Series, now granted, Balbita is so much better than the person that De Paula fought in Contender Series. But man, Balbita has what we like to refer to as a padded record. I understand it's 14-6 and her opponent's 5-4. But man, I mean, like these wins are against 0-0, 0-0, 0-0, 0-2, 1-5. Like it's like literally a padded record, man. I think if it stays standing, you got to favor De Paula, but I'm not sure because I don't know if she's going to come out here with the confidence I expect her to. So yeah, I'm not going to get involved in this fight.
Yeah, it's probably not one I'm going to be targeting with my hand builds. I'm okay with a little sprinkle on either side with 150 lineups just because I think they will both be low owned and, anything could happen. I think DePaul is live for a knockout here where she could score well and Balbita could grapple heavily and score well that way. So I'm going to be more so on the Balbita side if I am putting either one of these in my lineups because I like her pace on the feet. I think just striking alone, she can win on pace, but DePaul off her back is just not good. And I think Balbita could definitely take it there. I mean, she took this girl down where her only path to victory was getting an armbar from guard, and she still took her down, and she got armbarred, of course. But I don't think that's much of a worry in this fight. So I would expect some takedowns here. If not, I think just pace alone, she can maybe put up close to 10x, but I don't expect either one of these ladies to score high in a decision win. I think DePaula is the more dangerous striker, the more athletic, skilled striker, but I just don't see her putting up the pace of Balbita, unless she's hurting her and putting it on her after that. Overall, it'll be a fight that I avoid and hope that it goes to a decision. If it's a close fight, close back and forth fight, then I feel like it won't be on the optimal lineup. And that's what I'm looking to achieve here is the optimal lineup. If you have a strong lean on either side, I think you could play them in cash games because I do expect 15 minutes here. The loser could score 30, 40 points, but I just don't have a lean either way. So I will just more so avoid this fight and hope that neither one of them scores 100 points. Next one on the card, we got Chaz Skelly's retirement fight. He's now minus 190 against Mark Striegel, plus 160. Break this one down for me.
I know a lot of people are like putting a lot of stock into this being Chaz Skelly's retirement fight, as in that's the reason to fade him. And I simply disagree, man. I mean, I think that this guy's been planning his retirement for like 2-3 years now, man. I mean, the Emmers fight was supposed to be his retirement fight. So this isn't some thing where he's lost his motivation. I mean, he definitely went all in for this camp and he's definitely coming to fight. So if you think that Skelly is going to get hit with one big shot and then quit because it's his retirement fight, like that's not who this guy is. At one point, Chaz Skelly was on track to becoming for having the most submissions in featherweight history, but unfortunately, injuries and inactivity sidelined him from being able to reach that goal. But at least he's got the fastest submission in featherweight history. So I mean, listen, Striegel, I know he looks like the better athlete. I know he looks like, if you put them side by side, one guy's got the dad bod and one guy, is ripped like a superhero. But I'm going dad bod here, man. I think Chaz Skelly comes out here, submits this guy, and puts his gloves in the center of the octagon, has a nice speech, nice moment. We all drink a beer for him, and yeah, let's go, Chaz Skelly.
Yeah, I'm on the fade the retirement side, really. I mean, it's nothing that Mark Striegel impresses me with, other than, I mean, the body. I guess you're right. He's pretty shredded up, and I think he's the stronger one of the two, which could mean that he's the better wrestler because Skelly's not a really good wrestler, but he is good once he gets the fight on the ground. And I think if he can get the fight on the ground in top control, he could finish this guy in any round. I do think Skelly would be the guy who can, survive more in the third round. I've seen Striegel, gassed at the end of round one, which is definitely a worry here. But I just think Striegel can have some success in round one, whether that be striking or grappling of his own, because he is mainly a grappler himself. I don't think he has any knockouts on his record. He's mostly throwing kicks when he's on the feet, but you can just tell that this guy's strong, and maybe one shot could be all that it takes. But I just don't. I mean, I don't think Skelly really wants it that bad. If he's retiring, I'm sure he wasn't having a championship type of camp. And the line is more so what talked me on to Striegel. If this was an even money fight, then I think Skelly is probably the better fighter. He's definitely more proven. So I'm definitely fine with the Skelly pick, and I think he's a good GPP play because he should go overlooked. More people, I believe, on my side, we're not whether they're picking Striegel, but they're just not picking Skelly. So I just don't think he'll be in many lineups, and he could go out there, get a round one submission, and be on the optimal lineup at low ownership. I think he makes sense for that, but I'd rather take my shots on Striegel because he helps me get up to those favorites, in the 9K range that I really want to target with Pierce, Hill, and we'll get to some others here later. But more so fading the retirement. That's why I'm on Striegel. I don't expect anything really impressive from him, to be honest. And I don't know if he's really even UFC material. All right, let's go to the next fight. We got Jessica Rose Clark minus 170 against Stephanie Egger plus 150. Break this one down for me.
I like what I've seen from Rose Clark these last two fights, man. I mean, after that last loss, she took like close to a year off. She got her body right, and I think she's been training with some good people in Vegas. And I like what I've seen. I mean, that Sarah Alpar fight, like I get Sarah Alpar might not be the best, but she treated her like she wasn't the best. I mean, she treated her very, very accordingly. And then the next fight against Jocelyn, Jocelyn's only chance is to keep the fight standing and maybe use her kickboxing. And Jessica Rose Clark goes out there and lands 5 takedowns in that fight. So big signs to me that she's got a pretty well-rounded game, and she's very experienced. With Egger, I mean, we know exactly what she brings to the table. She's an accomplished judo player. She even has a win over Ronda Rousey in pure judo. They went 1-1. So, I mean, look, if Egger is able to clinch up, get a judo throw, a hip toss, a head and arm throw, whatever the case may be, and have extended periods of time in top position, well, then I could see Egger winning the fight. But most likely, I think that Rose Clark comes out here with a smart game plan, keeps the fight standing, lights her up, and maybe even gets a takedown or two of her own down the stretch. So I'm going to go with Jessica Rose Clark via unanimous decision.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jessica Rose Clark is just better everywhere. Going to be the better striker, the higher pace striker. And then on the ground, I feel like that's where the points would be scored, no matter who wins. If Edgar is going to have any success, I think it would be with wrestling and top control. Maybe get a submission or ground and pound stoppage like she did in the last fight. I don't see that. I think it's going to be a decision either way in this fight personally. But if Edgar wins, I think it's going to be grinding out at least 2 rounds in top control. I think she makes some sense as an underdog. But I think that's the same success Rose can have also. I just think she's the better wrestler. She has looked good wrestling in the last 2 fights, keeping top control. My issue is that she landed 5 takedowns in that last fight. She almost controlled the fight for 13 full minutes, and she only scored 90 DraftKings points. So I just don't love her ceiling when guys like Pierce can score up to 140 DraftKings points. So I just don't think I'm going to get to much Rose Clark, and she has to have a ton of success to even get to that 90 points. So it's probably going to be mostly a dog or pass fight for me, just because Egger will help me get up to those other favorites. And then you never know what'll happen. Maybe she will be the stronger one, which will help with her wrestling. We'll see. But overall, it's just not a fight that I'm going to make a priority to get into any of my lineups, especially with my hand builds. Maybe I'll let the domination station choose if I'm doing 150, but I have a feeling it's more so dog pass for me. All right, next one we got David Onama minus 150 against Gabriel Benitez plus 130. Go ahead and talk to me about this one.
Yeah, this is a good fight, man. I mean, listen, Benitez is a guy I got a lot of respect for. Cashed a plus 150 for me against Sam Cecilia. Cashed a max bet for me at minus 120 against Humberto Bandené. And then also on the flip side, I faded him against Omar Morales and Sodiq Yusuff. And I know the whole thing is it's the experienced vet at dog money versus, a green prospect who hasn't fought anybody. That's the narrative. But I mean, when I bet Omar and Sodiq, Sodiq was 9-1 at the time. Omar was 9-0 at the time. They were both inexperienced. They hadn't fought anybody either. So I've had success fading this guy against inexperienced guys. And I think that last fight versus Billy Q was a clear sign of a decline. Not to mention, he's been having weight issues. He's pulling out of fights. He's doing all these things. And, oh, look, he missed weight again today. So, yeah, I'm under the impression that Benitez is on the decline, and I'm capitalizing. I don't bet against Russians or Africans, period. Like there might be an exception here or there, like a Olawale Bangbose or an Antigulov, but aside from that, 9 times out of 10, I ain't betting against no Russian or African. So, yeah, maybe if they try to go kick for kick and see who kicks harder, then Benitez wins. But I just expect a superior athlete to come out here, walk this guy down, show him no respect, touch his chin, and knock him out. So give me the unproven guy to rise to the occasion, get the biggest win of his career, and knock out the established veteran.
Yeah, I like Onama here as well. I liked him coming into the UFC for that Jones fight. And I think in the breakdown that I said, I have a feeling I might pick this guy a lot moving forward, and I just can't do it here against Jones in his short notice debut up a weight class. But now, man, he's going to be a big boy at 145. He is dangerous. He's got some nice hands, and I think his hands are going to be too much for Benitez here. So I do think he gets a knockout. He's plus 110 inside the distance, only $8,400 on DraftKings. So I think he's a great GPP play. I love the pace that he puts here. It has Benitez more likely to win a decision here, but I just don't, like you mentioned, I mean, if we're trading kick for kick, that's definitely Benitez's best part, but I think he needs to get a knockout with one of those kicks to have any sort of ceiling on DraftKings. Onama's flaw in his last fight was that he was just taken down over and over again, and that's not Benitez's game. He's landed one takedown in his entire UFC career, 9 or more UFC fights. And then just volume-wise, Onama was taken down 8 times and controlled for 9 minutes in that UFC debut. He still landed 90 significant strikes. Benitez has never landed 90 significant strikes in his whole career. So I think Onama can go out there, win a decision as well. Sure, Benitez has better defense than Mason Jones, but when does defense win you fights? I don't know. Maybe he can avoid some big shots early, but I just think Onama is the more skilled, definitely higher ceiling, more potential fighter, and Benitez does look like he's more so on the way out. So give me Onama to get a knockout in this one. All right, next one. I think we could see another knockout here. We got Queen Buckley minus 165 against Abdul Razak Al Hassan plus 145. Got some bangers here. How do you see it going down?
Full disclosure, I've been terrible at these Razak fights, man. It's like I have this like soft spot for him where I can't pick against him because, firstly, you know how I feel about my Africans. Secondly, you know how I feel about my knockout artists, and thirdly, he cashed 2 back-to-back max bets for me against Sabaho Masi. So I'm always gonna be biased towards this guy. But all that aside, I mean, I like the fact that Razak got out of Texas. He went to Elevation in Denver, Colorado. That's a big step for him. And then Joaquin actually went to Extreme Couture in Vegas. So I think we're going to see the best version of both of them, to be honest with you. And I know Razak's coming off a 17-second head kick knockout. It's easy to say. I mean, like, what can you take away from a 17-second knockout? But it's not really about the fact that it was a 17-second knockout. It was more about the fact that, like, now he's got his confidence back. Now he feels like himself again. So now he's not going to be gun shy, and he'll actually be willing to let it go. That's what I take from it. So, yeah, listen, if it goes past the first round, Razak's never won a fight that's gone past the first round. Not saying it can't happen. Like, I mean, Francis Ngannou won a unanimous 5-round decision recently, so anything can happen. But I'm going to go Razak first round knockout.
I'm gonna agree. Same reasons. I've always liked Al Hassan as well, but I mean he's just dangerous. He could knock anybody out in the first round. But that is his main path to victory. All of his wins are first round knockouts, and if he got past that first round, he's lost. So I kind of think that's the case here. I think he's the more dangerous striker of the two. Buckley has been knocked out 3 times, so I would say that Al Hassan's more durable as well. And I think it would be smart of Buckley to just look for takedowns in this first round, kind of tire out Al Hassan early, and then have more success as the fight goes along. I think Buckley's more likely to win a decision here. But if this fight goes to a decision, I don't think either one of them are going to score very well. We're really targeting the knockout here, and we have minus 350 that the fight does not go to a decision. I'd rather be on that Al Hassan first round knockout side. He has scored, up to 150 DraftKings points, and his lowest in a win is 107. He has had 3 fights on his fight log that would have the 60-second or less knockout bonus. So if you get that shit at 7.8 or 7.9K, whatever he is this week, he's on the nuts lineup. So Give me some Al Hassan. It's definitely going to be more so dog or pass, but for MME, you definitely want to sprinkle some Buckley. And I mean, Buckley's got minus 110 inside the distance compared to Al Hassan's plus 240. I don't really agree with that, but I mean, Buckley has big time power as well. We saw Al Hassan get starched early by Chaos Williams, so it's definitely in play. Give me Al Hassan. I will be overweight to the field on him, probably underweight to the field on Buckley. And GPP only on both sides. You don't want to touch that fight in cash games. All right, next one we got Nicolas Mota minus 170 against Jim Miller plus 150. I think this is a decent fight to target on DraftKings, but I think more so for me, it'll be the underdog, even though I'm picking the favorite to win. But go ahead and break this down for me.
No, I'm the opposite. I'm all in on the favorite here, and I'll tell you why. I know it's easy to look at it and say, like, why is this random contender series guy, a favorite over the legend who's had the most UFC fights ever? I get that. However, he's not just a random contender series guy. Like in 2015, this dude was on the Ultimate Fighter, the same season as like Joaquim Silva, the same season that Gleiko França won. And I mean, he won a fight in the house, then he lost to the eventual winner of the season, Gleiko França. Goes back to the regional scene. I mean, he had a row of killers in that regional scene, man. I mean, this guy went out there with Joe Selecki, who's a badass, and first 2 rounds, Selecki takes him down, takes his back, full mounts him, does everything. And Mata survived those spots with Selecki, man. And then he showed that sense of urgency in the 3rd round. He knew, like, the only way I'm going to win this fight is if I get a kill. And boy, did he get a kill, man. I mean, they had to bring out the smelling salts. But if you want to see a vicious knockout, type in Nicolas Mota versus Cesar Balmaceda on Fight Pass. Like, if you want to see, I'm talking about, they had to bring out the stretcher. I'm talking about, it was almost uncomfortable, but like you still appreciate how brutal it was at the same time. So if you want to see the most devastating knockout you've seen all week, type in Nicolas Mota versus Cesar Balmaceda. And then he also fought my good friend Robert Hale. Rob was the last guy to beat him. And the only place you can see the footage of that fight is on my YouTube channel, Half the Battle. So type in Robert Hale highlight reel, and you can see the clip of Mota and Hale. And I mean, they went to war. And you guys will hear from Hale in the UFC soon. So basically what I think is going to happen is, Jim Miller's going to have his fast start like he always does. If he gets that first round finish, he gets that first round finish. But if he doesn't get that first round finish, he's getting finished. Like every single fight in the last half decade that's gone past the first round, Miller hasn't won, except this last one, where he won 10 seconds into the second round against a guy that actually doesn't belong. Like the Ghost Pepper guy, that's the name of the dude he fought. That dude, it was a newcomer that doesn't belong. Mata, it's not the case. Mata is a dude that moved from Brazil to the States, been training with Frankie Edgar, with RDA, with Edson Barboza, with Marlon Moraes for years, and he's ready for this opportunity, man. So give me Mata to weather this early storm and come out there and defeat the legend.
Yeah, I'm picking that too. I mean, I'm picking Mata by knockout. I think his power looks real. His hands are better. And I think the longer this fight goes, the more it'll favor him. But I just don't know that he's going to end up on the optimal lineup unless that knockout comes early. With Miller, if Miller wins, I think it is likely early in the fight, round 1, and it would probably come through grappling. So that will be on the nuts for sure. But with Mata, I mean, if he gets a knockout in the 2nd or the 3rd round, which is more what I would expect, he's not a volume guy. He's not going to go out there and just put the volume on Miller, light him up in each round. He's more of a counter puncher. So he's waiting, sitting back, and landing these bombs, which I think will eventually put Miller away, but he might have a rough first round here. So I'm more so DraftKings wise going to be on the Miller side, but I don't think that's contrarian at all. I think he'll be one of the more popular underdogs on the card. So I might just move to fading the fight more so with my hand build lineups. I definitely want both sides if I'm doing 150 lineups. But I don't know. I might just avoid it and hope Mata goes out there, gets a 3rd round knockout, scores 80 points, and just doesn't get on the optimal lineup. So that's probably going to be the way I attack it. But if I'm putting either one of these guys in a single entry, it's going to have to be Miller because I think he's got a better shot at 100 points. And if that happens with him, he's on the nuts at the underdog price. All right. Next one on the card, we got Parker Porter minus 280 against Alan Bedeau plus 225. Might be our last chance to fade Bedeau. You never know here. How do you see this fight going down?
I literally laid minus 350 straight on Tom Aspinall against Bedeau. I mean, because I thought the true line was more like minus 950 at the time. I also played Nascimento at heavy chalk against Alan Bedeau. Granted, he gave me a sweat in that fight, so I do remember that. But I also acknowledge that Nascimento is more of a jiu-jitsu guy, right? He's not really known for his striking, but still, I mean, we're still dealing with a big athletic guy in Baldo. So, and they are heavyweights, so I'm not saying take a mortgage out on Parker Porter. I mean, Parker Porter is what we like to refer to as a solid journeyman. If you're not quite on the level, he will definitely expose you, and if you are on the level, you'll beat him. Baldo is not on the level, so I got Parker Porter to come out here and win the fight. It's just that we got to get past these first 4 minutes. This dude's gonna throw some unorthodox shit. He's gonna throw some spins. He's a big dude, like hits hard. Like you just got to be careful. But get me to this 4-minute mark, Parker, and we win this fight. So yeah, that's my pick.
Yeah, I agree. Bedeau's just not UFC material. I mean, that's a nice output. You see there over 7 landed strikes per 15 minutes. But I mean, that's all in his last fight where he looked much improved in round 1. I mean, I would say the one thing that's good about him is that he's going to be quicker, lighter on the feet than Parker Porter. But yeah, that's only going to last about 4 or 5 minutes. He completely fell apart round 2 after looking good in that first round. And that's just the best he's ever looked. I think if Parker Porter wants to go out there and get one takedown, what's Bedeau going to do? I think he's going to be stuck on the bottom until the ref pulls off Porter or until the round ends. So I think that would be an easier path to victory for Porter. He could score well that way. I think he could finish the fight on the ground or on the feet, but we don't even need a finish from Porter. He scored 101 and 106 DraftKings points in his last 2 fights that both went to a decision. His volume is unbelievable for a heavyweight, and I think it's going to be easy to put up volume on Bedeau, especially after round 1 here. I think it'll be all Porter round 2, round 3 if it gets there, and I think he could end the fight in any round. So I like Parker Porter a lot. He's in play in all formats. He's somebody I would like to be overweight on, but he should be popular as well. Bedeau, I mean, he's got a knockout chance. I'd say knockout or bust. If he gets it, he's going to score well, but I don't see me taking any shots on Bedeau personally. He will be low on, so deep GPPs, that makes sense. But I'm not going to, build enough by hand that I'm going to be clicking on Bedeau. Next one on the card, we got the co-main event. Kyle Dawkins minus 290 against Jamie Pickett plus 230. Break this one down for me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Dawkins should come out here and finish this guy in the first round, but sometimes my concern with Dawkins is kind of what Dana was talking about, like when he didn't give him the contract on Contender Series. Like Dawkins can dominate at times, but sometimes you question if he's got that killer. And the reason I bring that up is because Pickett is a very big athletic guy. We've seen a big athletic guy muscle Dawkins around before in Haas. Now, obviously, I think Haas is actually a really damn good fighter. He just doesn't have a chin, which is unfortunate. And if that motherfucker had a chin, he'd be in the top 15 for sure. But basically what I'm trying to get at is it should be that Dawkins rear naked choke round 1. My concern is this becoming like a 3-round cage push clinch fest type fight, in which case you put Dawkins in all your lineups and it becomes one of those fights and you're fucked. So that's why I would not go all in on Dawkins. I'd pick and choose my spots with him, because like I said, this becomes that 3-round clinch fest and you're gonna be really pissed off paying that high price on him. So he is my pick though, for sure. But yeah, not going all in on this one.
Yeah, I don't care for this fight at all on DraftKings, to be honest with you. I think Dawkins is the better fighter everywhere. I think he's the better striker, much better grappler. With Pickett, I would give him the knockout power edge and just strength. That's really it. Maybe he can make it a boring fight, pin Dawkins against the cage, land a takedown, hang on to some minutes. But I just don't see him doing anything with it. And he won his last 2 fights. He only scored 66 DraftKings points in both of them. I don't see much more of a ceiling for him unless he's able to get a knockout here. So Pickett's a fade for me. And then on the other side, like Dawkins isn't a big-time wrestler. I think he could go out there and win a 15-minute striking match here. He's not a knockout power type of guy. So the submission is where Dawkins' ceiling is, and I would just rather target higher ceilings. So Dawkins, I think, is more of a cash game play for me where you're not worried about the ceiling, but I feel pretty good about him getting the win. But I would rather target the guys who could go out there, put more than 120 points up, where I just don't see that being the case. With Dawkins, I do think he gets a submission at some point along the way, but if it goes all 3 rounds, I think he would win a decision as well. Just won't score well. All right, let's get to our main event. Probably my favorite GPP fight on the card, minus 500, that this one does not go to decision. We got Jamal Hill, minus 240 against Johnny Walker, plus 195. Go ahead and break it down for me.
Yeah, this is interesting because I feel like I got duped by Johnny Walker. I really thought that he was like one of the brightest prospects at 205, man, because like when Jones was champ, Jones is obviously incredibly skilled, but he had that like cheat code with the size, man. Like he had like 10-inch reach advantages over like everybody he fought, and he would tower over everyone. So when I saw Johnny Walker come in, 6'6" with the 80 something inch reach, I was like, okay, this could be a dude that could actually contend with the athleticism and size of a guy like Jones. And I was wrong about that. And now with Hill and just these other up and coming dudes like Yuri Prohaska, Rakic, and Khalif, like these new wave of light heavyweights all got the size and the athleticism. So it's like, honestly, unfortunate that John ain't champ anymore, because like I really feel like these are the dudes that would give John challenges. These other dudes like didn't really motivate John anymore. But yeah, so anyways, back to this fight, man. I love everything about Jamal Hill, man. I mean, like the fact that, he's, like I said, he's got the physical attributes, 6'4" with the 80-inch reach. He's got the one hitter quitter you want from a guy his size. But the thing that makes him special is he's got the output of like a featherweight. So that's something I've never seen before. Like, when's the last time you saw a dude like in his debut, he threw like 200 something strikes, man. And people talk about how he got taken down 6 times. I talk about how he got back up 6 times. So this is what I like to call a no fluke situation. So basically, literally the only way I can see Jamal Hill losing this fight is if he gets knocked out. And I mean, there's a chance. I mean, Johnny Walker is a very dangerous, explosive, unpredictable, and athletic guy. So maybe a flying knee by Walker, maybe a head kick, a spin, an elbow, whatever. But if that does not happen, Kyle Marley, I'm telling you right now, Jamal Hill is going to beat this dude's ass in a way where we're going to be talking about him in the top 10 on Monday. We're going to be talking about him in the top 5 at the end of this year. So basically, don't get caught, Jamal, and you win this fight. And this is an all-in fight. I would be shocked if this was like Johnny's last fight, where like there's no Jamal Hill fight where he's only going to land 11 strikes per round and shit like that. Like that's just not in the card. So one of these dudes is getting knocked out, and I believe it will be Johnny Walker.
Yeah, same here. If Walker doesn't get the knockout, Hill should cruise here, and I think Hill is more likely to get that knockout. Hill's minus 150 inside the distance. That's a 60% chance, and I think that's a good number to have on DraftKings. Have about 60%, if not some more, Hill in your DraftKings lineups. I think the knockout probably comes in rounds 1 or 2, but I think if it goes all 5 rounds, Hill probably wins all 5 rounds. Walker landed 48 significant strikes in that Thiago Santos fight. I mean, that's just pathetic. Hill has done that in 1 round before. So I just don't see how Walker, goes out there and wins a decision here unless it's, some issue with Hill falling apart late in a 5-round fight, just because we haven't seen it yet. But I have a hard time believing that. And if he is falling apart, in those late rounds, it probably means he beat the shit out of Walker in those earlier rounds. So I like Hill everywhere here. But if Walker goes out there, his best attribute is being wild and powerful. If he goes out there and gets a first round knockout, he's on the nuts. So I definitely need some hedge lineups in this fight. Not quite an all in fight for me, but I definitely want it in the majority of my lineups, probably 80% or so of my lineups. And I'll definitely be targeting more so the Hill. I'll be overweight to him, and I think I'll be underweight to Walker because I do feel pretty good about Hill getting this knockout. Cash games, it's a fight to avoid for me. It's either stack or fade, really. I'm cool stacking it and just taking the winner no matter what, hoping that you get over 100 points. But I would not want to play either one of these guys solo because they have, a 0-point floor. It could be a first round, first punch type of knockout. And I want to avoid that in cash games, be a little safer there. So it's definitely a GPP fight for me. And I like the Hill side of it quite a bit. All right. To end it, let's go with our kill shot of the card. Somebody we think won't be too highly owned that can go out there, be on the optimal lineup. You got anybody in mind, Dan?
All I hear this week is about how Benitez is the best bet on the card. So give me Onama to come out here and knock him out, and Cash as the kill shot.
Yeah, I like that one as well. I really don't even have one in mind. I'll go ahead and say, man, yeah, I don't even have a real kill shot on. I'm just gonna agree with you. I got to go with Onama as well. First round knockout. Let's get it, Onama. So hopefully we're right this one, and we'll both be right on that one. Usually we pick somebody different, but I got nobody else in mind that's not going to be too highly owned. No hot takes from me this week. But good luck to you this weekend, Dan. Good luck to everybody listening. Hopefully we'll see some DFS Army helmets at the top of the leaderboard. Enjoy the fights. Go win something. Peace out, guys.